This week in sports, the 44th of the year, the final act in the Lynn Bias tragedy. And a coach in Buffalo takes matters and transcripts into his own hands. All this week in sports. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sports Center Sunday. I'm Alan Massengale along with Bob Ley. First up, we have this 30-minute edition of This Week in Sports, followed by Game Day, which is a half hour earlier today than normal at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with Tom Mees and Chris Berman. Our cover story this week, academics and athletics. On our nation's campuses, these two terms have caused quite a dilemma, especially the academics part. The issue came into clear focus in College Park, Maryland, and Buffalo, New York the past couple of weeks. One major college, one junior college. Two popular coaches now out of work. Coaches who ran very successful programs. But in the case of Lefty Driesell at Maryland and Donald Silveri at Erie Community Colleges, both schools sent a message. Winning is not the only thing. Lefty Driesell knew exactly his role at the University of Maryland.
There's one thing I know I can do. I can coach. I might not be able to write. I may not be articulate. I don't know how to speak too well, but I can coach, baby.
There was no doubt about that. He never had a losing season. Maryland was a national basketball power.
I think he was doing what he was paid to do, and that's to fill Cole Fieldhouse and win basketball games. Well,
for the University of Maryland, that is no longer enough. A Maryland task force formed in the wake of the drug-induced death of Lynn Bias found evidence of substandard classroom performance by former Maryland athletes. Driesell had weathered many storms in his career, but this one would help sweep him away.
There needed to be some redirection of our overall athletic program, particularly as it related to basketball, that there needed to be a greater commitment to the development of the young men playing in the program, and in my belief that at this time, in order to make those changes, we would require new leadership.
Driesell is still being paid for building a winner. 8 years left on his contract, a total of $1 million. He is now titled Assistant Athletic Director.
There's something wrong with the system if he can get $1 million and other professors who are very good are not getting tenure.
But Driesell was not a professor. As he said, if there was one thing he could do, it was coach. And his players remain loyal.
my main reason for coming here was to play on the coach's L, and it's my last year, and he left, and this was a very important year for me and for the team also. It makes you wonder about a lot of things, and sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just going to wait and see what happens.
Loyalty was what it was all about for Erie Community College basketball coach Donald Silveri. He admitted changing players' grades to keep them eligible. It was wrong. Silveri admits it, but he just wants to be understood. He's a former social worker who counseled juvenile delinquents. He called himself a Pied Piper and Robin Hood rolled into one, leading the kids to a dream of success by working against the system. Looking back, Silveri said in his handwritten statement of resignation, "If a kid needed a grade to graduate, or if I felt he had a chance to succeed with a passing grade, I helped him out. I had a big heart and a small brain."
You know, I made a big mistake, and it's a mistake that I'm going to have to pay for the rest of my life, and one that I really regret. And I just want everyone to know that I did it for the kids and to give them a shot at success.
Silveri took the players nobody wanted and turned them into a national junior college power, 33-3 last season. Erie Community College has no scholarships. It's a place for borderline student athletes to dream of a shot at earning their way into a major college.
All they have to do is have a high school diploma to be admitted, and then, I don't think that the proper resources for whether it's budgetary or whatever reasons are provided for the kids.
Coach helped us on and off the court, and I don't know if the new coach can do that. Like for the 5 out-of-town players, he provided us a house, and when the financial aid comes in, we pay the rent then. And there's a lot of other things just besides coaching that he did for us. Not illegal or anything like that, but just helped us out as much as he could.
And where from here, Don?
I don't have the slightest idea. We'll see what the good Lord has in store.
Keith Gatlin, the Maryland player you just heard from in that story, is now a former player. He was dismissed from the team this week. The reason? Academic ineligibility. Also, those players who very misguidedly tried to help may still be in trouble. They face possible loss of scholarships or diplomas. Bob? 10 days ago, the day that he resigned, Don Silveri accepted my invitation to appear live on this program today. However, upon advice of his attorney, he has now decided not to appear. But when we continue with This Week in Sports, we will speak live with one of the prominent college coaches in the nation. George Raveling is in his first year at Southern California. We'll explore the tension between academics and athletics after this.
The upset of the week is brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need. Alabama hosted Penn State at Tuscaloosa, and the guests were anything but cordial. Nittany Lion tailback DJ Dozier ripped through the Crimson Tide defense on this 19-yard touchdown run. Penn State's defense picked off Mike Shula twice as Alabama saw its 13-game winning streak come to a screeching halt. Penn State hammers Alabama 23-3 and moves up in the polls. The Pepto-Bismol upset of the week.
Tonight, this place will be filled. People will be watching movies and not watching what they're eating. Pretty soon, it'll come back to haunt them.
My tummy hurts.
Mine too. That's chilly, dog.
Don't worry, we've got Pepto at home.
Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, it soothes heartburn and upset stomach, as well as diarrhea.
I thought we left the monster back at the movies. Pepto-Bismol, the one that coats, is the only one you need.
When my new sales manager told me that I had to stay at a Econo Lodge, I was not happy. Because I'm a Ramada Inn, Howard Johnson's kind of guy. I was so worried about what I'd find here, I even brought my own towels. But no problem. An Econo Lodge room is just like those other rooms, except it's about $15 a night less on the average. Got the same nice bed, same nice phone, same nice color TV. And look at this. Great towels.
Econo Lodge. Spend a night, not a fortune.
Sunday on ESPN, the chase for the NASCAR Driving Championship may end in Georgia. Only hard-charging Darrell Waltrip has a chance to stop leader Dale Earnhardt from capturing his second title. The Atlanta Journal 500, live Sunday at noon Eastern, only on ESPN. See the shootouts for a $150,000 first prize at the Seiko Tucson Match Play Championship, live Saturday and Sunday on ESPN.
We continue our look at academics and athletics. Now, officially, the regulation is called NCAA Bylaw 5-1-J, but everyone else knows it as Proposition 48, the hard and fast standard that incoming student athletes must meet now to compete. It is the system's answer to the problems we have seen, the problems, ironically, that Don Silveri saw and then contributed to. Joining us live this morning from Los Angeles is University of Southern California basketball coach George Raveling. Good morning, George. Thank you for joining us very early in Los Angeles. Are things better now? And if they are, why are they better?
I think that the Proposition 48 legislation is a step in the right direction. I think it's well-intentioned. I think it's needed. I still, to be honest with you, harbor some concerns about the standardized testing portion of Proposition 48. But I do realize that those people who enthusiastically supported this legislation are well-intentioned. And I think in the long run, it's the best thing for intercollegiate athletics, and it's the best thing for the individuals concerned.
15% of Division I signees, George, in basketball were ineligible. Cincinnati lost 6 of 7 graduates. People say it may not be racist, but it has a racial impact, impacting mainly on the black student athlete, the black freshman. How do you respond to that?
I think that there's a lot of substance to that, Bob. As a minority myself, I have to be concerned about any legislation that includes standardized testing, because I only have to quickly race back through our growth as blacks to see that standardized testing has always been a weapon by which to keep blacks in their place, i.e. voter registration, college admissions tests. Every time you find a standardized testing situation, it's always had a crippling effect on blacks. And so I have to be a little suspect of any time that standardized testing is offered. And in many high schools, the kids aren't even offered the proper preparation to take the test. I think standardized tests send out false signals to individuals. And by the SAT's own admission, at best is a barometer as to how a student would do as a freshman. It certainly isn't a measure of a person's scholastic aptitude, which the test is called Scholastic Aptitude Test. It does not measure scholastic aptitude, and the SAT organization readily admits that.
So, George, given what you've said, what of these kids? What do we do with the underprivileged kids that don't have the background necessary to make it, but maybe they could? What happens to them? How do they fall through?
Well, I think that one of the mechanisms that the country offers is the junior college route as a preparatory thing. Perhaps maybe what we need to do is to go back to the true prep school. Back in the 50s, the early 50s, they had preparatory schools where a young person could go an additional year in preparation for entrance into college. I think the colleges are going to have to offer preparatory work for a young person. For example, if this student were to come in as a marginal student, I think certain conditions ought to be set down. We will admit you under these circumstances. One, you must attend a 6-week course, preparation course in the summer where perhaps maybe they teach him how to take notes in class, how to manage his time, how to study, how to prepare for tests, give him a speed reading test and find out what level of reading. You'll be surprised. A large number of student athletes today are reading at a substandard level, and there starts the problem. Now you put them in 14 to 16 hours of coursework that requires a lot of outside reading, and they just can't handle it. And then frustration sets in.
Okay, Coach, very quickly, we just got a few seconds. How do you feel when you see apparently coaches and these kids bearing the brunt of a system that you have said is a little bit out of whack right now?
That's the part that I think is a total joke, is that everybody is running to the four corners of the campus and they're leaving the poor coach standing out there taking the blame for it. That system couldn't possibly be that simplistic that it's the coach's fault. Don't think that there aren't a lot of college people today who are wiping their brow and saying, there for the grace of God go I.
All right, George, thank you very much. Good luck in your first season at USC, and obviously this is a problem that gets back to the plight of the U.S. cities and education, and the coaches seem to be on the cutting edge. Good luck for the Trojans this year.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, George Raveling live from Los Angeles. Got a big job this year at USC. A difficult job anytime in these times with the new standards and what he has to do. Still ahead, it's time to reel in the events of the week. We'll recap the top moments as we roll the sports reel. Can't wait for that. The New York Mets put the finishing touch on a fantastic year in brand New York style. Stay with us.
It's bad enough that Slade Gorton votes against senior citizens in the Senate.
In 1985, Slade Gorton voted to eliminate Social Security COLAs 3 times. He supported cuts in Medicare and disability programs. And last year, the National Council of Senior Citizens gave Gorton a 0 rating for his Senate record on senior issues.
But what's worse is he puts on those TV ads and sends us those letters trying to make out he's our friend. I expect better of my senator.
Automobile accidents can wreck lives as well as cars. But you don't need to face serious personal injuries and the insurance companies alone. At Abeda and Nelson, we're experts in personal injury cases. There's no charge to discuss your case with us, and no fee unless we recover for you. So if you've been seriously injured, seek the help of a professional. Call us at Abeda and Nelson, a firm that gets results.
It was a week when you can bet the city that never sleeps definitely didn't, at least on Monday and Tuesday. Time to celebrate a world championship, and 2.2 million Mets fans descended on New York City Hall and downtown Manhattan. They even had to stop running the subways. It was that serious. Don Gould was there.
By the time the Mets and their entourage arrived at City Hall in New York, several people had been taken to the hospital, injured in the crush of so many trying to get a look at their heroes. Finally, at 2 p.m., the ceremonies began with Mayor Koch and New York Governor Mario Cuomo among the many recognizable politicians on hand.
The city of New York is very proud. You know why? Because we are the international capital of the world, but the Mets made up the state of New York a family.
Manager Davey Johnson and some of his players, including Series MVP Ray Knight, then got a chance to thank the fans.
I've never seen a group of guys that give everything they have with just great heart and great determination and never giving up. Obviously, 116 will improve that. Thank you very much for your support. This was a fantastic year for the New York Mets. I know personally I'm very, very proud to be a part of this great team. And for all of your support all throughout the whole year, thank you for making a dream come true. Your fans are great. I have to say one thing, I'll make it real short. You made the difference in game 6 and 7. Boston couldn't handle the Met fans. Thanks for your support.
Don Gould at City Hall for ESPN.
And on the next day, Boston, the city, said thanks to its team. There was no ticker tape, as on Wall Street, no raucous celebration, but there was a sense that getting to within one strike of a championship was better than sitting home and watching. City Hall Plaza jammed with several 100,000 fans, most too young to remember firsthand the litany of Red Sox disappointments. But in the Calvinistic traditions of New England, the hardships were passed down generation to generation, and they added a perspective and an emotional underpinning for a surreal communion between the team and their fans.
Let me tell y'all something. Don't let nobody kid you. Seeing you guys out here today hits us right here, and that's no lie. You guys are the best, and this makes me so excited today that I can't wait for next year, and I want to see y'all right back here.
On behalf of the management, the players, the fans, the wife, and all the support that the Red Sox have received this year, we can't ask for anything better. And after seeing you out here today, we can't wait another 11 years. Maybe next year or the year after. Believe me, we're going to do it. Thank you.
Now the sports reels. They went round and round and came full circle on the Grand Prix circuit. Less meant more for Gentle Ben. Seventh heaven for the Mets. And in football, the commissioner gets blocked. A look at Sunday and Monday. In the city of Adelaide, Australia, Alain Prost won the Australian Grand Prix for his 25th career Grand Prix win. It was the 4th win this year for Prost. Even better, Prost repeats as world champion, the first driver to win back-to-back titles since 1959 and 1960. A Texas thunderstorm cut short the Vantage Golf Championship in San Antonio and gave Ben Crenshaw the victory by 1 stroke over Gary Player. Crenshaw shot 64 on the first of 2 scheduled Sunday rounds. The second was washed out. Monday, when Jesse Orozco struck out Marty Barrett, the Mets had their first world championship since 1969, the second in the history of the franchise. The Mets won the last 2 games of the series to beat Boston 4-3. In the NFL, Pete Rozell's random drug testing was sacked. An arbitrator ruled it violates the contract between the players' union and the owners.
It was a victory for the process. It was a victory for the players from the standpoint that we're trying to protect the collective bargaining agreement. The players full well recognize that they have a responsibility both on the field and off. But just because they're athletes and they are role models, they still have rights.
As the week progressed, it was obvious that San Diego was the city in the news. A new head coach, a new manager, and old problems for a pitcher. Tuesday and Wednesday, the sports reel. 15 years in the majors. He managed this year in the Pacific Coast League, and now Larry Boa has the San Diego Padres job. He says his new team lacks aggressiveness.
First, I want to thank Mrs. Croft, Ballard Smith, and Jack McKeon for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to do as good a job as I know how to do. And for the people out there that know me, I played for a long time in the big leagues, and I hate to lose. And I want that attitude to spread amongst our players.
On the San Diego mound this year, Lamar Hoyt had a poor season. Tuesday, he was arrested on drug charges for the 3rd time this year. Picked up at the Mexican border, allegedly smuggling hundreds of pills. Hoyt's free on bail, but the commissioner's office is yet to be heard from. Don Coryell resigned Friday as the San Diego Chargers head coach, a 1-7 record. His team a mystery. Never any defense. Al Saunders takes over.
It's a great challenge, and it's something that all coaches, I think, look forward to their entire life, to have an opportunity to be a head football coach and to run the operation and run the show.
Wednesday, dueling hat tricks in the NHL. New Jersey's number 9, Kirk Muller, had 3 goals and 3 assists. This the prettiest. The soccer move with the leg and then bunting it in.
Pittsburgh's Kevin LaValle had 3 goals and 3 assists as the Devils won this game 8-6. Chow down at Gracie Mansion. His honor, Ed Koch, got his New England clam chowder from Boston Mayor Ray Flynn, another World Series bet. The help wanted sign flashed very briefly at Maryland. The NBA is back in business, but the doctor is giving up his practice. One day after Lefty Driesell resigned, Maryland hired high school coach Bob Ley from Dunbar High in Baltimore, one of the most successful programs in the country.
And anytime a person loves to work with youngsters and loves to coach basketball, I think of no other opportunity or none other opportunity could exist than to be given the opportunity to coach on the next level at the University of Maryland. The NBA season got underway. The world champion Boston Celtics raised their 16th championship banner above the parquet floor. Boston beat Washington 120-102. In Philadelphia, Julius Erving said he will retire at the end of the season. Then Dr. J went out and scored 18 points in the Sixers opener. The 5th-ranked team in the country came a cropper on the road Saturday. The Milwaukee Bucks got the Celtic monkey off their back. Saturday Sports Reel. The final minute in Gainesville. Auburn is leading, Florida driving. Kerwin Bell to Ricky Nattil. The Gators only down by 1 point. They decide to go for 2 and the win. Kerwin Bell with a knee sprain wins the game. Florida in an upset, and number 5 Auburn a first-time loser. Earl Bruce's Buckeyes in Iowa City. In the second quarter, Jim Carsano sees the blitz, and he hits Chris Carter. The tackle by Kenny Sims never happened. But the touchdown did. 72 yards later, the Buckeyes beating Iowa again. At the Mecca, 26 for Terry Cummings. The Bucks break a 9-game losing streak against the Celtics. They win it by 6. Still to come, the back page where anything you might have missed and probably should have missed this week can be found. Too harsh. We are sure you're going to find this week's version every bit as exciting and scintillating as in weeks past. So stay awake, please.
Even though you faithfully pay your premiums, why do some insurance companies make you feel so guilty?
I had an accident.
You have an estimate, 2 estimates, 3 estimates, and a note from your mother.
My mother?
Leave it to the good hands, people.
In most cases, Allstate will give you a settlement on the spot without 3 estimates or a note from your mother.
How do we know it's her writing?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
When you're out overnight after a day like today, where do you go for some room and comfort? La Quinta Inn's, just right overnight.
This is a week where the curious and the notable literally span the globe. Our ports of call this week include Japan and Kentucky, Germany, all over the planet, and New Jersey, the back page. 15 miles from Game 7, a full house of football fans kept Duracell in business. Football, not with the Mets playing. Base hit! Base hit! Score 'em! Yes! The tying run on second! Your field level at an NFL game. 2 outs, top of the 9th. Then came the parade, and who batted cleanup?
It's good that they won, but look what we got.
These major leaguers prepared to depart for Japan, and in the land of the rising fastball, Seibu rallied to beat Hiroshima to take the Japan series. Hot air ballooning with a dash of hang gliding thrown in. That's the idea in Kentucky. Why?
Why not?
Everything went perfectly. Balloon and glider doing fine. And you get to announce your own landing.
Heads up, get out of the way.
How sporting is this? A Halloween dog show. Hot dogs. Well, you can see where this is headed. Not to the Plaza Hotel. That's where the Meow-Off finalists were kenneled. Then off for the competition. The bird sings in Texas, but he could carry a tune in West Germany, where this fella has, yes, trained for the moment. A record of sorts. How can you sleep at a moment like this? Even if you do nod off, there's always something to awaken you. Listen now and watch the bottom of your screen.
Hearn on one side of the defense, Morrow on the other. Dale Henry, rather, on left wing, and he got filled hard. Hospodar got a piece of that.
Pretty scary stuff. Not a pretty prospect. Some might even say Neanderthal, right, Wilma? So here's to those who know how to rebound, how to bounce back and stand tall. If you have any thoughts or anything you'd like to say to us, write us. We can take it. This Week in Sports, ESPN Plaza, Bristol, Connecticut, 06010. Gotta love that back page. This Week in Sports will return next week for our usual 60-minute edition that begins at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. A look at the obvious and the subtle and the significant as we see it. As we see it. Right. Coming up next, Sports Center Sunday continues. NFL Game Day with Tom Means and Chris Berman. The NFL begins the second half of the 86 season. That's how it stands. This Week in Sports, I'm Alan Massengale. And I'm Bob Ley. As the NFL continues on ESPN with Game Day, we'll see you this Week in Sports next week.